High-ranking military officials now admit 3I Atlas may not be what it seems, but something far more terrifying.
My name is Jeffrey Nusatelli. I'm a former military police officer with 16 years of active duty service in the U.S. Air Force. I'm here today because the American people have both the right and the responsibility to know the truth about unidentified aerial phenomenon, classified and silenced by fear, retaliation, stigma, and confusion. Today, we are here to help break that silence.
Astronomers once called it a flyby. Now, they're starting to call it an arrival. 3I Atlas isn't just drifting past, it's cutting straight through our solar system, brushing close to Mars, the Sun, and even Jupiter. And here's the twist. NASA's data shows it may be moving faster than expected, which means the countdown to those encounters could come much sooner. Even the Navy has taken notice of a sign that this is no ordinary visitor. So, why does this matter? And what might we discover when it comes closer? Stick with us, because the answers may change everything we thought we knew. The strange chemistry that defies logic. At first, astronomers placed 3I Atlas into the familiar category of comets, those icy fragments that drift through our solar system from time to time. It glowed, it carried a faint tail. It looked just like the countless small wanderers already catalogued. But when scientists pointed their instruments at it, the readings made no sense.
3I Atlas was discovered on July 1st by the NASA-funded Atlas survey.
The chemistry did not match what we expect from any ordinary comet. Normally, frozen water dominates a comet's makeup, with carbon dioxide showing up only in smaller amounts. 3I Atlas was the opposite. It was releasing far more carbon dioxide than water, as if the recipe had been flipped upside down. And that was only the beginning. Its surrounding cloud, called the coma, scattered light in ways that scientists could not easily reproduce in a lab.
We'll pick out objects that are moving inside of the four frames, and we have to identify if they are real or if they are false detections.
The particles behaved like neither ice nor dust, leaving researchers puzzled. Then came the strangest discovery of all. The object contained significant amounts of nickel, but almost no iron. In cosmic chemistry, nickel and iron usually appear together, formed side by side inside stars and carried together in meteorites.
For images, this is a brand new near-Earth asteroid.
Finding nickel without iron was like spotting a pair of shoes with no soles. To give perspective, imagine standing beside a car that has no tires or headlights, yet somehow still speeds down the highway. That is the type of mismatch scientists faced when studying 3I Atlas. Every new measurement only deepened the mystery, as though the laws of nature had been bent in the ancient nursery where this traveler was born. An object unlike any other visitor.
We have to better understand how active this object is, and then we can refine the size estimate and get a good idea.
This is not the first time an object from outside our solar system has paid us a visit. The first was Oumuamua, a long, thin body that showed no visible tail and yet seemed to spiral away, pushed by some hidden force that nobody could quite explain. After that came Borisov, which looked more like a textbook comet.
An amateur astronomer discovered the first interstellar comet, 2I Borisov.
But it was moving far too quickly to have formed anywhere near our cosmic neighborhood. Both of these visitors bent the rules, but each still left traces of behavior we could recognize. 3I Atlas, however, is different.
We've only discovered less than 40% of the 90% of the object we need to discover.
It does not just bend one rule, it breaks several at once. Its likely birthplace appears older, its chemistry is stranger, and its presence is far more disruptive than either of the first two. This is why scientists speak about it with such care. Collecting data feels less like checking off another icy rock and more like preparing for a once-in-a-lifetime encounter that no one alive today will ever see again. Normally, a comet tells the same simple story.
From images, we also saw that this object is active, which is an indication that this object is in fact a comet.
Sunlight warms its icy surface, water vapor streams out, and dust glitters in its wake. But with 3I Atlas, the story runs in reverse. Instead of confirming old patterns, it seems to rewrite them. Some researchers describe it as a window into an older cosmic environment, one that existed before our solar system was even born. In that sense, 3I Atlas may not be just a comet at all. It looks less like a random block of ice drifting through space, and more like a messenger carrying material from a world we have never touched. And if its chemistry already tells us this much, then its path through our solar system may reveal something even stranger. A suspicious path through the solar system.
So far, we've discovered 3 interstellar objects. The first one was Oumuamua, the second one, Borisov, in 2019, and now we have the third one, 3I Atlas.
Why does 3I Atlas seem to weave its way through the solar system instead of rushing past like a stone from deep space? That question has started to haunt astronomers. Normally, an interstellar object would dive in like a dart, curve once around the sun, and then vanish forever. But this one behaves differently. The orbital charts show something stranger. Instead of cutting across the system at an angle, its path flattens neatly into the same thin plane where all the major planets orbit. And from there, it slides uncomfortably close to Mars, Earth, Venus, and even Jupiter. The odds of an object arriving randomly from deep space and aligning so perfectly with the solar system's plane are incredibly low. Most comets slice through at odd angles, paying no attention to the layout of planets. 3I Atlas, however, behaves more like a visitor who knows exactly where to walk in a crowded hallway. Its track does not just skim past, it drifts near Mars, then swings by Earth, slides past Venus, and finally turns outward toward Jupiter. Each point looks less like coincidence and more like a stop on a planned route. Visualizations make the unease clearer. Where normal comets look like steep plunges and quick exits, this one traces a red line that threads from world to world, as though taking a slow-motion tour of the inner system. Scientists are careful with their words, but some no longer describe it as a simple flyby. Instead, the word arrival has begun to appear.
The physical makeup of an object tells us about its capability, its impact potential. What can it do on the Earth?
A flyby suggests a brief passing. An arrival suggests presence, perhaps even intent. This shift in language is not only coming from astronomers. Agencies beyond science, including the United States Navy, are now connected to monitoring its path. For people trained in tracking and threat analysis, an orbit that looks like a deliberate route map cannot be ignored. The question is not just what the object is made of, but why it is moving this way, and what it might mean for the worlds it passes. So far, no one can say with certainty that the path is controlled. Yet the fact that such a question even exists shows how unusual 3I Atlas really is. Upcoming encounters will be crucial. When it brushes near Mars or glows brighter by the sun, we may finally learn whether its movements are pure chance or signs of something far more deliberate. The Navy's alarming shift.
Internationally flagged merchant ships. A small percentage of them are directly at U.S. Navy.
At the center of this new development is one chilling truth. Time has collapsed. For months, even years, analysts believed that 3I Atlas was still a distant threat, something to be studied carefully and prepared for at a steady pace. That sense of distance gave the Navy room to breathe. It allowed strategists to test scenarios and build plans without the weight of a ticking clock. But now, that framework has vanished. The Navy's recalibration signals that the timeline has shortened. Ships must be repositioned, crews must be briefed, and resources must be mobilized with urgency. Even the scientific community, once content to draft theoretical models, is being pushed into the harsh reality of producing practical answers under military deadlines. This sudden urgency does not come from a single blurry image or one intercepted signal. It comes from a convergence of evidence across multiple domains. Naval intelligence is piecing together observations from undersea sensors, orbital satellites, encrypted communications, and classified instruments. When all of these sources point in the same direction, the Navy does not treat it as speculation. It becomes a directive. That directive has already started to ripple outward. Scientists, astronomers, and aerospace engineers are now being pulled into the gravitational field of defense planning. For them, the recalibration is both an opportunity and a challenge. It is a chance to observe something of immense scale, but also a demand to explain it quickly and clearly. For the rank-and-file sailor, this announcement feels different. Deployments and exercises are routine, but the idea that they may soon be standing on the front line of a first encounter with something humanity has never faced before is both sobering and electrifying. Rumors spread fast on mess decks and wardrooms. Whispers of earlier arrival have already turned casual speculation into serious concern. Strategically, the shift forces the Pentagon and its allies to act now. Fleets once assigned to routine exercises are being reconsidered for rapid redeployment. Intelligence sharing with NATO partners and Pacific allies has taken on a new urgency, as every fragment of data could hold the key to understanding the object's movement. The recalibration is no longer a technical update. It is a call for immediate coordination across nations. And beyond the military, the psychological weight is spreading. Civilians, political leaders, and defense analysts are asking the same uneasy question. What does arrival mean? Will it be a visible presence in Earth's skies? A sudden signal disrupting global communications? Or something even more direct that shakes entire continents? Inside the Pentagon, contingency plans are being dusted off and tested in real time. Civil defense agencies are likely being briefed in closed rooms, and governments worldwide are preparing for scenarios that were once considered unthinkable. What began as a naval recalibration now echoes across every corner of national and global security. The Navy has not revealed all the details, but hints suggest that new technologies may have detected anomalies no one expected. Submarines, drones, or next-generation satellites could have picked up signals showing that 3I Atlas is not just moving closer, but possibly adjusting its course. If that is true, then only the most advanced instruments in the world could have caught it.
With the direction from where we got the most powerful radio signal back in 1977.
For the first time, whispers of acceleration and alignment are no longer confined to scientists. They have entered the language of defense, strategy, and national survival. And the message is clear. The countdown has already begun. Global strategic response. The Navy's recalibration is not just a technical update, it is a signal that echoes across the globe, reshaping the strategies of every major power. Rivals such as China and Russia are already scrutinizing every word, searching for clues about America's readiness, vulnerability, and intent. For them, this announcement could be read as either a genuine warning or a piece of calculated messaging. But whichever way they interpret it, they cannot afford to ignore it. They must now allocate resources, revise their own contingency plans, and perhaps even accelerate secret programs designed to track or prepare for 3I Atlas.
Of 3I Atlas when it comes within 29 million kilometers from Mars.
In this way, the shift does not remain confined to the United States. It becomes part of a larger game of global chess, where every move, every silence carries weight. But the acceleration also creates a dilemma for political leaders. How much should they reveal, and how much should remain hidden? Too much openness risks triggering panic among civilians, rattling financial markets, or destabilizing societies already on edge. Too much secrecy, however, creates another danger: losing control of the narrative as rumors, leaks, and speculation fill the void. Leaders are now judged not only by their decisions, but also by their ability to manage public expectations in the shadow of the unknown. The challenge does not end with politics. It cuts deeply into culture and belief. Throughout history, the idea of an arrival, especially one vast and beyond human understanding, has carried spiritual weight. For some, the acceleration of 3I Atlas confirms ancient prophecies or religious visions. For others, it feeds existential dread, as if a long-feared moment has finally stepped out of myth and into reality. While the Navy speaks in the language of logistics and strategy, society interprets such revelations through the lens of faith, imagination, and fear. On the front lines, sailors are already feeling the shift. they have trained for hostile submarines, unexpected storms, and sudden threats. But preparing for something like this is different. Every radar ping, every sonar return, every strange reading in the atmosphere now feels heavier, as if it could hold history in its signal. Nights grow longer, vigilance sharpens, and the awareness that they may be living through a turning point in human history begins to permeate life aboard every vessel. Civilian science is also being pulled into this widening circle. Researchers who once worked on open, academic projects may now find themselves invited or pressured into classified environments.
Science is fun because we can learn from evidence. So far, there are 7 anomalies of this unusual object.
Their expertise, once aimed at pure discovery, is now redirected toward urgent questions of origin, trajectory, and intent. This merging of military urgency and scientific talent accelerates breakthroughs, but it also restricts the free flow of knowledge. For many scientists, the recalibration represents a dramatic shift. Their work is no longer dictated by academic schedules, but by the Navy's timetable of readiness. And beneath all of this lies a more unsettling possibility. If 3I Atlas is arriving earlier than expected, does that mean it is more dynamic, more adaptive, or even more aware than analysts first assumed? To imagine it as a static object is comforting. To imagine it as something capable of shifting its own timeline is profoundly disturbing.
3I Atlas updates and maybe even our best shot yet to clearly see the third interstellar object.
Inside classified war games and simulations, this possibility is already altering scenarios. Plans once modeled on distant horizons are being compressed, tested, and rewritten under pressure. Commanders must now make decisions with less room for error. Options narrow, decision trees collapse, and exercises that were once abstract hypotheticals are turning into blueprints for imminent encounters. The world is no longer preparing for someday. It is preparing for it soon. Science, psychological, and cultural impacts. The pace of rehearsal now matches the ticking of the clock. The financial consequences, though less obvious, are just as profound. Defense contractors already working on projects loosely connected to 3I Atlas may suddenly find themselves under immense pressure to deliver prototypes, systems, or capabilities far ahead of schedule.
30-kilometer resolution of 3I Atlas, this new interstellar object.
Budgets may be reshaped, contracts rushed, and entire industries pulled into something resembling wartime production without an official declaration of war. This recalibration spreads beyond the military. The economy itself begins to shift as resources are redirected toward readiness. Diplomacy, too, feels the weight of this new urgency. Countries that once doubted the seriousness of 3I Atlas now face a choice: align with the United States assessment or risk being left dangerously unprepared. For allies, the recalibration is a binding force, strengthening partnerships. For skeptics, hesitation could create fractures in the global response. In both cases, time has been compressed, and diplomacy is forced to operate in overdrive. The cultural impact is equally striking. Stories in film, books, and media that have long imagined encounters with the unknown suddenly seem less like fantasy and more like prophecy. The Navy's announcement fuels the imagination of millions, causing people to picture how life might change if an arrival truly comes. In living rooms, schools, and online forums, societies begin rehearsing in their minds what it would mean to live through such a moment. That cultural rehearsal may seem intangible, but it will shape how populations respond when whispers of the extraordinary become undeniable reality. For intelligence analysts, the recalibration is a crucible. Every signal, every unexplained anomaly, every sudden blip on a radar must now be seen through the lens of acceleration. The margin for error narrows, while the weight of each judgment grows heavier. Analysts who once had the luxury of debate now operate under the pressure of immediacy, where a single misstep could ripple into global consequences. Training within the Navy also begins to evolve. Sailors and officers who were once taught to think only of hostile fleets, navigation, or conventional warfare now face an expanded curriculum. New modules force them to consider phenomena outside the realm of human experience. Briefings that once focused on rival submarines or storms now include discussions of the unknown. It is no longer just about ships and deployments. It is about preparing human minds for the unimaginable. The rhythm of intelligence also changes. Reports that were once issued weekly or monthly now flow daily, even hourly. Decision-makers demand constant updates, and the intelligence machine must deliver without pause. This relentless cycle mirrors a clock that no longer offers comfort, only urgency. Even with secrecy, the public will not remain untouched. As whispers spread and fragments of truth slip through, people will adjust their expectations of the future. The sense of living in ordinary times will fade, replaced by the feeling of standing at the edge of history. The Navy's recalibration confirms what many already sensed deep inside. Speculation is turning into planning, distance into imminence. The vast unknown is no longer abstract. It casts a real and growing shadow across the present. Science itself is forced to rethink its models. The accelerated timeline suggests that 3I Atlas may not be static at all. Perhaps it is dynamic, adaptive, or even deliberate in its movement. If it can change the pace of its arrival, what does that say about its nature? This realization pushes into both philosophy and science. Humanity is being forced to confront something that may be more complex than originally believed. The impact on naval doctrine is immediate. A fleet that once prepared for rival nations must now remain flexible for something beyond conventional categories. Command structures, tactical manuals, and training exercises are rewritten to prepare for the unthinkable. What once belonged in the realm of science fiction now appears in the official frameworks of the world's largest navy. Finally, surveillance and detection systems come under scrutiny. If 3I Atlas is accelerating, militaries must ask whether their sensors and models are even sufficient to measure it. The Navy's recalibration suggests that new anomalies have already been detected, or that updated predictive models have forced this shift. Yet it also raises the darker possibility that there are gaps in humanity's technological reach. What if there are things happening that cannot yet be tracked or explained? This recognition sparks a race among scientists and engineers. Satellite arrays, oceanic listening posts, and airborne detection systems are pushed to their limits, upgraded or redesigned. Humanity scrambles to close the gap between what is unfolding and what can be measured. In the end, the Navy's recalibration is more than a technical adjustment. It changes economies, reshapes diplomacy, redefines science, and rewires the psychology of entire societies. The clock has accelerated, and with it, so has the urgency of human imagination and response. The high-stakes countdown. The months ahead will determine whether the label of arrival is only a metaphor or a literal description. What is already clear is that this journey is no accident. Every intersection with planetary space looks deliberate, as if it is following a pattern. And patterns matter. Humanity's reaction to such rare interstellar visitors is shaped by the story their movements tell. With 3I Atlas, the story no longer feels like a stranger passing by.
NASA scientists first spotting 3I Atlas in July, just a tiny speck of light sailing through a sea of stars.
It feels like something moving along a path with recognizable stations.
In the case of 3I Atlas, as soon as it was discovered, 20 kilometers, which is huge.
That shift changes how researchers prepare and how the public imagines what might happen next. But the true drama is only just beginning. Soon, instead of lines drawn on orbital charts, we will witness its journey step by step.
But 3I Atlas is behaving very differently.
And first spotted this object back in July.
First, it brushes the orbit of Mars. Then, it plunges dangerously close to the Sun.
The Sun's glare dominates this region, and the object is essentially hiding behind it.
After vanishing into light and heat for weeks, it reappears, altered, and then makes its way outward toward Jupiter. Each step is like a chapter in a story no one has ever read before. This is not just another comet pass. This is a short, unforgiving window of time where instruments must be ready, because once it is gone, it will be gone forever. The key dates are already marked. In October of 2025, 3I Atlas will sweep near Mars, offering the first chance to glimpse its solid core. Just weeks later, on October 29th, it will make its closest approach to the Sun.
Looks anomalous in other ways. Its path is in the plane. It's very well aligned with the plane of the planets around the Sun.
That moment is the one astronomers anticipate most, because the Sun's radiation may reveal secrets hidden from ordinary observation. By December, it is expected to emerge again, perhaps stripped of its veil, altered in form, or even shattered into fragments. Then, in March of 2026, it could brush past Jupiter, giving one final opportunity for a major space mission to capture data before it drifts into darkness forever. The tension around these dates comes from how brutally short the observation windows are. In late October near Mars, scientists will have less than a week to collect data before the object slips away. At its closest point to the Sun, the timing is just as strict.
Soon, though, the comet's path will take it past even more of our robotic explorers.
Its coma may grow, its nucleus may fragment, or it may shine too brightly for some instruments and too faintly for others. By the end of March of 2026, the final chance will vanish, and no telescope on Earth or in space will be able to bring it back. 3I Atlas may be more than a comet racing by. It could be a relic from the oldest chapters of the universe. The Oxford Otahi model suggests it may be about 7 billion years old, older than our solar system itself. That staggering age explains why its chemistry feels alien, carrying material from before Earth was even born. And if its movement continues to accelerate, the countdown shortens. Discoveries will not just come sooner than expected. They will come with the weight of urgency, forcing humanity to face the unknown before it is ready. 3I Atlas is not just a comet. It may be a relic older than Earth itself, or something far more intentional, rewriting what we think is possible. Once it slips back into the darkness, we may never see it again. So, what do you think?
The low surface brightness in the envelope surrounding the core of around the 3I Atlas.
Is it just another cosmic traveler, or a messenger carrying a story we don't yet understand? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more mysteries from the edge of science and the unknown.